Hey guys, someone sent a message recently asking if I'd heard that they're going to be separating Google Plus from YouTube, and I hadn't heard anything about it. So I went looking for it and found it, and this was on the YouTube blog. There's a fine line between Google Speak, which is Google Speak's always that stuff where they're trying to tell us that they're only doing things just because they're wonderful people and they really want to improve our lives, which is Google Speak. And a lot of other companies do Google Speak as well, don't they? It's that bit of nonsense that they do, trying to convince us that it's all about how wonderful they are, not really about making lots of money. So there's a fine line between Google Speak and straight out bullshit. And there's a fair mix of both in this little piece of bullshit right here. So, I mean, the first one is, you guys that will remember when they first linked YouTube to Google Plus, there was a huge stink about it. There was a million videos on YouTube complaining about it. There was comments all over the comment sections from people complaining about it. And a lot of people, including us, had huge hassles because we had a Gmail account, we had a YouTube account, and then we had to have the Google Plus, and all our accounts were in different names because we didn't want our own name on these things, and then they forced us to have our own name, and then we had to try and separate it off, and we had weeks of stress over this. It was a huge hassle. We didn't want to lose our YouTube name that people knew, but we didn't want to use our personal names on it either, and it was just a mess. And then we didn't want to mess up our Gmail account because lots of people were using that as well, and it was just a mess, absolute mess. And that was just our experience. There was millions of other people who were complaining and didn't want it either. And despite all that, Google did what they always do. They hear all this. They actually had, on a previous move when they changed something else, they actually had on their blog, they had something like, it might have been 1 million comments from people saying they didn't like it. They had that little click down the bottom, click and tell us what you think, right? And 1 million people clicked it and all said we hate it, and they all did it anyway. And it was the same as with the Google Plus connection. Everybody said they hated it. Please don't do it. It sucks. And they insisted on doing it because Google Plus was failing. They were trying to compete with Facebook and the other Twitter and all the other, and Google Plus was failing. So to prop Google Plus up, they connected it to YouTube. And of course the same thing, they did the big Google Speak thing at the time too, trying to convince us that it was all about making it a better user experience for us, you know. One Google account, access to all the Google features, one name, all Google accounts, or something like that. They had a catchy little phrase like that they now have to drop, of course, because it's all bullshit. So they ignored us, basically. Everybody said they didn't like it. They totally ignored us and went ahead and did it anyway because they wanted to prop up Google Plus and make it worth a few more $1 billion, which they did, and it worked. I mean, they got a whole heap of extra traffic to Google Plus. Unfortunately, it killed YouTube. A lot of YouTubers, sort of average YouTubers, will tell you that their income and their viewership has dropped by about 75 to 80% on what it was before, because the Google Plus changes meant that people weren't getting to see our videos like they were before, and the extra viewers weren't getting to see it. Just the whole system just disadvantaged us big time, and so all our viewerships dropped and our income dropped. And that's why you've seen a lot of sort of smaller YouTubers just stop doing it, because they're getting frustrated and disheartened that they'd build up a good viewership and then suddenly their viewership dropped to 25% of what it was, and they think, well, fuck Google, and they just walk away. And a lot of people have done that. And then just to rub a bit of salt into the wound, have a look at here. It says comments. Comments are super important to the relationship between creators and fans on YouTube. You love, and then here we go, my life is Eva, Kingsley, Tyler, epic rap battles. So they've taken 4 of their $1 million buddies, so 4 of the channels on YouTube that make millions of dollars, and given them a plug right in the middle of this bullshit that they're telling for the rest of us, which is really, really rude. I mean, that is really, really rude. You know, they can't help themselves. They've got to turn this piece of nonsense into a bit more promotion for their little buddies there that are making the millions of dollars. Because of course it's not because they're trying to support these good people either. It's because every time one of these guys makes $1 million, Google makes $1 million, because that's how the ad revenue is shared, right? So just so much bullshit, and then it goes on about we've listened to you and we're gonna do these things to make it better. Basically, what they're doing is putting it back the way it was, as much as they can, putting it back to the way it was, where Google Plus and YouTube are separate. So, but for those of you who are watching this who haven't heard about this before, don't do anything, because they didn't mention to write down the bottom of this. If you try and disconnect one of them or close your Google Plus profile at the moment, you could lose your YouTube channel. And that's why we don't trust this at all. We went through such a hassle to connect them all up that we're not going to try and disconnect them, because we heard there was a lot of people who lost their channels, lost their YouTube channels, lost their names, had all sorts of dramas go on when they tried to connect, when they were forced to connect. So we're not going to try and disconnect. It says here, if you close your Google Plus profile, you might lose your YouTube channel. So, and they said they're going to fix it later. Well, you know, maybe. So again, they're doing it. The reason they're doing it is that they found that it did prop up Google Plus, but it's damaged YouTube. And again, it's all about them. It's not about us. They want those people that they listed already, those 4 people and another 20 people like them who are making millions of dollars a year. They want those people. And again, there's a bit more lying in there as well. All these creators want to hear from fans like you. No, they don't. Who believes that? Who believes that a person whose videos get maybe 500,000 comments a week are reading all their comments? That is something that they've been doing for years. Creators have been for years. Leave a comment and tell me what you think. It's an old trick. And of course, they don't really care what you think. They're not reading your comment. What happens is every time that someone leaves a comment, then it builds the conversation on the channel, which builds the views. So that's what that's all about. So Google don't really give a shit whether we communicate with the creators or not, and they don't really give a shit whether the creators read the comments. What the creators and Google are both wanting is that people to leave as many comments as possible, because that helps them make more money. That's what that's about. So that's straight out bullshit, telling us that the creators, these big creators, want to know what we think. They don't read their comments. Who has time? We get 500 comments a day on our 2 channels, and I read every comment, and that takes a fair bit of time. That's 500 a day. So these guys that get 500,000 comments a week, there is no way. What they often do, just to try and make you think that they're reading their comments, is they scan down through the comments, pick a couple, and this is a common trick that's been around since Ray William Johnson. They pick a couple of comments out of all the comments, and then they show that on the screen and talk about it and respond to it, and that gives the viewers the impression that they read all the comments. And then the comments leave, "Oh, Ray, I really love your videos, man," and you know, these 4 characters that they've talked about here do the same thing. And the people leave comments as if the person's going to read them. "Oh, I really love your stuff. You know, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And tell me what you think." I mean, that's a trick that's been around since Ray William Johnson. Tell me what you think. I really want to know what you think. They don't give a shit. You know, community channel, that lovely girl on community channel, Natalie, lovely girl. I really like her work. It's really, really good. She does it every video, and it's what Google tell them to do. Google tell them, ask people to tell you what they think, because it'll build your viewership up. You know, and then now and again show a comment on the channel. So in other words, this is just another page of Google speak, half Google speak and half just straight out bullshit. Just straight out bullshit lying to us. So again, you know, the hypocrisy of it, to tell us that they listened to us, when in actual fact the whole mess came because they didn't listen to us when we said we didn't want it. You know, and then to come back now and say we listened to you. No, you didn't. You listened to your fucking accountants. They sat around a desk and they talked about it and said, well, we've propped up Google Plus and that worked really well, and we've got lots of extra revenue off Google Plus, but it's causing problems with our income from YouTube, so we need to change it. So again, the little guys, you know, on YouTube aren't going to benefit from this at all. It's not going to make any difference to us. It's only going to be the big guys again, because all these changes are focused. What they really want, instead of you know, 1 million users all making $10 each, what they'd prefer is that one user makes $10 million, because it's just easier to administer, isn't it? If they've got these 4 guys on this page here, they're all earning, you know, a couple of $1 million a year, that's much easier for them to administer and focus on than it is trying to focus on 2 million people who make videos getting paid, you know, $10 a year. So that's what they do. fuckers. So the reason for this video is, like all these videos like this, is when people are bullshitting to us, when companies are bullshitting to us and treating us like fools, we need to stand up and say, we know that you're bullshitting us and we know you're treating us like fools. Because they continue to do it, but the more we stand up and the more we let them know that we know what they're doing, the more that careful they have to be, and the more they have to try to treat us with a little bit more respect. And that's what it's really about. It's not really about, the little guys like us are never going to make a lot of money out of YouTube, but it's just more about the way we get treated. That's what pisses me off the most, is after years of making videos on YouTube, just to get treated like shit like we do. They just don't, give a rat's about you and me. It's only these, and to make it so blatant in this page too, by listing these 4 people, and all of them are mega million people. I haven't put one just, one person who makes good videos but isn't making millions of dollars. They could have included one of the normal people, couldn't they? But they didn't. It's all about the big bucks. Anyway, guys, leave a comment, tell me what you think, or don't. Either way, it's fine by me. More videos coming soon.